Welcome to Coffee and Cannabis. I'm your host, Alyza, and this is... And today we have a local dispensary owner in Jersey. You know, we try to rep for Jersey. Cord Schlabom. He's got an awesome name, by the way. We're going to get into the first and last name, how crazy and dope it is. But from Baked by the River, Lambertville, please give it up.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much for having me down here in Jersey City. A good old haunt of mine. Love Jersey City. Always slaying it.
Yes. So before we get into his story, for coffee, we got good old Bodega coffee today.
Bodega coffee.
Corey was like, yo, we got to support local. And I was like, well, ain't nothing better than your local bodega.
Oh, yeah.
So, and what are we smoking on, Corey?
You and I have Boston Runs. And then Cord has Temptation F2. So,
Groovy.
some good strains there.
One of my faves. And wow, you rolled this great. You rolled this great, Corey. I know I always bitch every episode, but this is a winner. This is a winner.
Yeah.
All right. So, Cord, first off, I want to know about your story, but I do want to get into your name a little bit because we were talking about that off camera.
All right,
and
we'll dive.
Cord, C-O-R-D. That's it.
That's all.
Right?
No Cordell.
No Cordell.
Not Corey.
No Corey.
No Court. It's Cord.
Just Cord. Where'd that name come from? That's
All
a
right.
really unique name.
So that's all my Grammy right there, all right? My grandma, she took that name from as far back as she could find on her family tree. She went ahead and just slapped that on my uncle right there, and then I got named after him.
Okay.
But the thing about it is it's a Swedish name, and it's like an old Swedish name. We did the whole census report and everything. There's only like 32 of us in the United States that are actually just C-O-R-D.
Wow. Yeah, that is
It's so
wild.
weird. Yeah, I mean, there's probably more. You know, we might multiply, we might divide. Who knows what's good? But Cord, I went into the history of it. It turned out my grandmother, when she found it, it may have been like from when the Visigoths were coming back from burning Rome. And she might have just picked up some random nomad name that we had picked on along the way, thrown onto the family tree. And I ended up doing some research and finding out, like, hey, what's up with, like, name meanings and everything? You know, everybody's got a cool name, and I'm here with, like, Cord. Everybody's mistaken me for, like, all the electrical appliances in the household. Like, what's good with my name? Is there something special there? So I went in and checked it out, and it turned out that my name actually meant, like, deeply rooted in humanity. And I thought that was pretty cool. Then I checked out my last name, and at first I thought it was just, like, Swamp Tree. And I was like... All right, that's kind of all right. And then I looked into it later on, did a little more homework, and it ended up being like people from the Black Briar, which is like people from like the...
It sounds like some shit at an RPG.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like so like deeply rooted in humanity. The people from the Black Briar, which is like, you know, this thorny substance out in the swamps. So, you know, appropriately goth as hell.
Okay.
I appreciate it and love it. Thank you, Grammy. You did me right. Even if it was confusing as hell getting on here to the point where I understand and appreciate.
Well, speaking about being deeply rooted in humanity, I think that sort of speaks to your spirit, right? I got to know you as a fellow... Oh, lighter? Yep.
Mine just died.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
I got to meet you as a fellow dispensary owner. Your Baked by the River is a a micro dispensary, right, in Lambertville, New Jersey.
That's
which
a hard
is
name.
It is, right?
That's a hard name.
I also want to get into
It's
that
a hard
because
game.
it is Lambertville is really on the river right there. And you're sort of close to Trenton. Is that central? That's central Jersey, right?
Oh, yeah. We're about 20 minutes away from our neighbors right there in Trenton. That's
Okay.
our city.
All right. So
And that's off of Delaware River.
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And I
Right
know
up the Delaware River, we've got a historic placard on every spot George Washington took a pee or poo at.
All right. That's something memorable. But I know that you've really been using this opportunity as a now dispensary owner to do some good. But let's take it back a little bit. I know you have a little bit of a story. Can you kind of talk us through how you got to being a dispensary owner, what your background is in?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, do you want me to breeze or can I like dive super deep
Do your
or?
thing.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to kind of go half and half a little bit then. So, starting off, I was a failed DARE student, you know, like most of us in the 90s.
Well, you give it to her. Thanks.
Dare. Gotta love dare.
So, you know, I had my whole like laundry list of things I wanted to try someday. And then, like, you know, boredom happened. I ended up smoking a little weed, and that was chill. But unfortunately, on the sideline, I was also dealing with a lot of trauma and stuff like that. Childhood stuff, you know, everybody goes through it. And so I ended up kind of quickly on a path to opioids, unfortunately, just like needing some harder stuff and wanted to kind of dive into something a little bit more dingy, I guess. And that was not the move. Ended up there for about like 10 years on and off.
Wow.
You know, really battled with it, but also like, you know, just kind of like hustled a lot with that and a bunch of other things, and eventually got to the point where, you know, I don't want to go too into detail there, but eventually I got to the point where I had lost more friends than I had fingers and toes. I didn't really, you know, have any childhood friends anymore. My older brother, chosen family, he was always kind of like the stern figure that kind of led me throughout the life and made sure I never fell, made sure a lot of people didn't fall. And I always kind of avoided him when I was in the darkest parts of my addiction. And one day he found me. His name's Jim Fury from Integrative Herbalism, by the way. He runs an apothecary now, great guy. But he found me in a trap house, and I was dying, to put it lightly. It was pretty grotesque where I was at, but I got to a point where he was like, he knew I was falling off, and he said to me, "Look, you're going to be the next one."
How many years ago was this?
This was about, 10 years now almost.
Wow.
I'm coming up on 10 years with my partner right now.
Wow. Congrats.
Thank you so much.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and so, you know, Jim said to me, like, "Look, you're next." And it was probably the best thing he could have said to me, just being blunt and honest with me. And I knew I needed to do something. All the programs and everything weren't working for me. I had done like a little bit of like court mandated NA and shit like that, and none of that worked for me. It's all right if I curse, right? I mean,
No,
we're on a
absolutely,
cannabis
yeah.
and
Yeah,
coffee
do you think,
pod.
no?
All right, cool. So
Tell me what you think. When did it get so bad for you? Like, what moment? I mean, 10 years ago, but you said that this was pretty much a 10-year stint as well.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
It
what
was on
made
and
it get
off.
so bad?
So, you know, everybody thinks they can control it. You know, they can chase the dragon, and they know how far they can go and how far they know they can put the brakes on. Mm-hmm. But then something happens where all of a sudden, whatever system you had in place to try to keep yourself in check falls apart.
Yeah.
For me, it was somebody coming in the house and just like shooting regularly and stuff like that, doing things a little bit harder, making sure that like, you know, things were getting delivered a little bit quicker, keeping the grind a little bit faster. People were making a little bit more money, and it was still like, you know, so it just became availability, and ultimately it became something where it was like so prevalent that I had to do something to shut it off. But again, like the trap was like the only place I really had at the time, so I had to like get clean from the trap, and that just entailed cannabis.
Yeah.
Cannabis honestly saved my life. I was in a place where like, I mean, I was vomiting blood every time I was ingesting heroin.
Wow.
And that was every day. So every day I was booting it. I knew I was getting close to the grave. And then like, I knew I just needed to hit the brakes. And so none of the programs were working for me. I just decided to pick up about an ounce of weed. And I ended up going into a room where it was me and one other fiend over there, but like, you know, I knew we could be, you know, copacetic to a degree, or I could at least shut the door for the most part and keep myself safe. And so I would just keep the door shut as much as I could, smoke bong after bong after bong until I was unconscious. Wake up, I'd be in massive amounts of pain. Withdrawals are hell. Anybody who tells you that quitting cigarettes is harder than quitting heroin has never been addicted to heroin, so fuck. I mean, that's that. So, you know, after about like 2 or 3 weeks of going through literal hell and just having nothing but sleep and pain, I ended up having this moment where I was like, I can move again. Like, my body's not super sore. You know, I'm not like heaving up anything gross anymore. I'm kind of like, you know, feeling like healthy a little bit. And I got real freaked out because I realized everything around me was still falling down the drain. And I hit up a friend who was living in Austin, Texas at the time, speaking of Austin earlier. And he was in this little raver house. And I was like, ravers, all right, so this is going to be a great place for me to get away from it all, but like, it's going to be a little bit of distance. So I decided, fuck it. I got in my little shitty Kia, and I drove across the country, 29 hours straight. I didn't even sleep. I got there, and I just restarted life.
Wow.
And it took me about a year down
You just
there.
left everything? You
Everything.
just went right to Texas? You were like, I'm going to start over?
I'm going to start over with these crazy raver kids. I'm going to just, you know, do it up, party in Austin every once in a while. That was fun, but, like, that had its own problems. I did end up, like, having relapses and stuff like that, but I ended up, like, you know, ultimately finding myself a bit down there.
Okay.
That's cool.
And when I came back, after going to jail for a short amount of time, a little bit of weed found in the car, and then, like, because of my blue eyes, probably, it got dropped to just a traffic charge for me.
Really?
My friend ended up in there for the half ounce, but I ended up in there just for, like, a traffic charge for a couple months.
You had somebody with you?
Yeah.
Of color?
Nah.
Okay.
Nah. But
So-
he was on top of it, so I think
why
that was
did
probably it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, why did he get something completely different than you? That's crazy.
Yeah, he was just on top of it, so I think he just took ownership of it, but like
Okay.
it was also his shit. But like, hey, that ain't even- you know, they didn't
But
even
in
end. But like,
general,
still, you know
yeah.
that people, you know that if I was a person of color, I probably would have been hit with a charge too.
Yeah, I didn't even know they can do that. That they
Yeah,
can drop
exactly.
weed down to traffic? That's
They
Yeah.
can do whatever they need to do.
Exactly, you know,
Well,
and so like
that's
that's
part of
kind
the
of how I
problem out
felt
here,
like
right?
on that. Yeah, exactly. So, you know, so I was in there for a couple months, came out, realized that like I wasn't really doing shit, came back up north because like the grind is up here, you know, people are
Yeah.
always moving up here, like, you know, it's not like people are just falling into like whatever and letting it fade away. So I was like, all right, I got to come back to where the grind is at, but like I knew I'd be deserted. Like nobody around me would be in the life I was in. Nobody would, like, either it would be people who were clean and in programs or people who were still in the life.
yeah.
And so I went back up, and of course, like, the people who were in programs were still judgmental as shit about me, but like that's all I had to hang out with. And then finally I found somebody who had a similar story to me and used cannabis to get free, and that was my wife. And you know, we ended up just hanging out a lot after that because we could just smoke weed and be free,
Yeah.
you know, and not have to worry about being dragged down. So we would just meet up, go by this little river in our town. It was the Passaic River at the time, before the Delaware River. And we would just sit there and we would smoke weed. We were both working at a pizza delivery spot. I was the driver, she was on the phone. And we would just kind of like sit there and dream, like, what could we do if we end up with resources, if we could actually do something, like, for real. And we wanted to create a place that was like a spot of harm reduction, a place where people could just enjoy cannabis, a place where people could have an alternative to all the other things out there, and a place where we could just have fun, play live music. We used to go to jazz clubs a lot, so we were like, all right, we could have a lot of jazz in there or something. And you know, we had our dream, and that was it. And we never thought we'd get there, but we cared about how cannabis changed our lives so intensely. So
Yo, look at your life, bro.
I know,
Look
dude.
at what you're
I
doing.
know.
Isn't this incredible?
Thank you.
To
Thank you.
sit somewhere and dream about something and it's coming true.
It's coming true.
I hope you are so proud of yourself.
I really am,
You
Eliza.
should
I'm
be.
I'm
You should
I'm
be.
floored, and you know,
That's so incredible.
we
man.
got
I
into
love it.
education from there, and
Yeah.
from education we got into activism. We spoke many times to home grow and just medical rights, expansion into rec. Spoke to assembly people, testified many times. And then eventually when it hit our local area, we had that little bit of gray period that happened when regs weren't really fully out yet, and it was like gifting was happening and everything. And we said, fuck it. Let's try to come out into the light a little bit. Let's see what happens. And so we ended up finding this little French restaurant in our town, Manon. And they decided, the owners, Sue Dumas and Jean-Michel, decided that they were going to retire because the pandemic really hit them hard. Yeah. And they were like, look, we ended up just making pottery, selling it to the Museum of Art in Philly. We're good. We're done with this whole French restaurant thing. Like, we're chilling. And so they decided that they'd sell it, but before that, they wanted to do something fun. And so they spoke to us, and they let us kind of, like, do our thing, have a little showing of, like, what it would be like to have, like, a little oasis. And people showed up in droves and got together. And because of cannabis, you had people of all generations getting together and merging. Really? All walks of life getting together and merging. And still to this day, you have friendships that last on from that moment. Wow. And then Lambertville decided they were going to ban cannabis. Right after that.
It can't be simple, right?
Yeah, it can't be simple. We're having like our footloose, like we have the community center.
Right.
And they're shutting down the community center, guys. We got to go to City Hall. And then we did that.
Just a little bit of gifting culture.
But we did that. We got together with everybody. We found all the people who were stoners in our area. And we decided to, make our voices heard, that we wanted this ordinance to speak pro-cannabis in our area. Ideally, we were going to push for micros, but whatever. Right. But, we wanted to see what could happen if we allowed the dream to work.
That's dope.
To its fullest. And then we got 90 people together in City Hall. And from there, the rest was history. They said yes. We helped guide the whole ordinance process. We became the experts of the town. People saw what we were doing. An ex-drug defense lawyer who's actually Kevin Burns. He's actually responsible for, in 2006, making it so that when you're living, when you pass a joint to somebody you're living with, it's not considered distribution because of Kevin Burns.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because there was
very
a couple.
Important law.
Very important law, but so he was totally on our back from square one, found the right move for us to make, to keep independent and to keep strong and local. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, the rest is history. Then we applied and we're here.
So you guys, this is important for everybody because we always want to make sure we know you own it. Right?
I own it.
You own it.
Yeah,
yes,
we actually own it.
Yes, it's not a big company behind you. It's not, real deal.
Yeah.
Nothing behind us. The only people behind us are a couple of retirees that were like, I'm not taking control. You guys know what you're doing.
No, it's different if you find investors.
It's different than Cali or Colorado or whoever.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We're talking about an MSO coming behind you and using your certifications because you're woman owned, right?
Yes, woman-owned, and I should probably mention my pronouns, they, them. I'm non-binary as well, and so. Oh, understood. We're Jessica owned. Sometimes she says that just to be like, no, seriously, this is not just woman-owned for the sake of having the checkbox. Jessica runs that shit. That's dope. I couldn't do it on my own.
Yeah. Listen, neither could I.
Amen.
Neither could I.
We're woman-owned as well, but I'm the cute one.
Hey, you gotta have your right and left hand. You gotta have the whole body.
You
and
need
then
a
you
team.
gotta have the brain.
The teamwork is absolute.
Yeah, especially in cannabis. Oh my God, you need a team.
There's too many things going on at any given time.
Yes.
Oh, without a doubt.
You're either trying to build it or do politics or the next step to getting it or checking in with the CRC to see where your status is. It's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
It's a constant, but at the same time, this is where we should be. We're at the tip of a new movement. Cannabis becoming legal. It's a crazy thing. Yeah. It has crazy implications if we do it right. and you know, we're here at the now, and so, you know, I'm burning at both ends constantly, like you guys are, you know, I'm sure, and I'm so happy to be doing it. Like, this is what I would be doing it for, you know?
Yeah, I guess when you put it that way, sometimes it's really not that bad. Because you're like, I'm working towards something that is so monumental. Like,
Well, it's also different when it's yours.
yeah.
Yeah.
You're working towards something that is yours.
Yep.
Yes.
You know, so, you know, if you were hired to work a job and it was all these headaches as trying to get this license and your store open and all that stuff,
Yeah.
you might have been like, I think I want another gig.
Right.
It's different when it's yours.
Yeah.
It so is. And we got to do something for the people that, you know, like, want to get into it but don't want to do this whole process. For me, what I was able to do was I made sure that the first people I hired were my local pot dealers.
Oh,
Yeah.
there you go.
You know, I mean,
Yeah.
it was like, what, you guys got job experience already?
Yeah.
Come on, what's
No
good?
brainer.
Listen, you can't
Hi.
be a bud tender. We always say like the sommelier that doesn't drink wine, right? It's like no, I need someone that has smoked a lot of shit
Yeah.
to tell me
You
like,
gotta
no,
know.
this is the gas, this is not, you know what I mean? What the high gonna be?
Yep.
Not someone that just
groovy.
read Leafly.
Yeah, cheers.
So, yeah, it's not somebody read lately. So tell me where you guys are, because I know that your partner, badass, by the way, she went to the CRC. She was like, listen, I'm tired of this shit. Y'all gonna hear me today.
Yo, she speaks.
Yo, she came through with it. Listen, that's my kind of energy. I'm with it. You do what you got to do for a moment, but then eventually you got to, you know, stand up for yourself.
These governing
So-
bodies kind of put you in a place where you have to be like that.
Yeah.
It's like if you're not gonna say nothing, you're probably gonna get missed because
Yep.
it's not simple. It's not made to win.
Yeah, no,
So,
you definitely get overlooked if you don't speak up sometimes.
We almost got missed entirely if we didn't speak up. I mean, hey, if we weren't trying to knock on their door, they wouldn't even told us they lost their application.
That's crazy.
That's a wild.
That is
that's-
super wild.
Yeah.
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 I don't even know.
It's like, oh, you exist? Yeah, we put it on our shit.
I'm happy they see it now when we're moving forward. Let's just go with that one. But yeah, Jessica, she's always been a speaker, and a lot of that comes from her mother.
Okay.
Her mother is like a huge inspiration for Jessica, and rightfully so. Jill, she passed away recently, and amazing woman.
condolences.
Thank you. She was an amazing woman. She really embraced me into her family in a really big way, but she also, you know, raised Jessica and just an incredible woman. Her out there speaking like that, that's something Jill would have done all day.
Yeah.
You know, Jill was somebody who spoke whenever she needed to, even in situations where, you know, you wouldn't think somebody would speak up.
Yeah.
Very impressive woman.
Yeah. Courage. That type of stuff takes courage. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love women like that. Badasses.
I might
Tear
know
to
one.
my eye, Miss Jill.
You know. I don't ever stop.
Shout out to Jill. Put respect on her name.
Word. Yeah. Yeah. Shout out to Jill. Wow.
Shout out to Jill. She's also a big reason why we're in this game too. You know,
Pro cannabis.
well, she was pro Jessica and everything that helped Jessica out, and cannabis sure as heck helped Jessica out a lot.
So she was with it.
Absolutely. In fact, one of the last conversations they had was about whether or not she should get into it, and you know, she said that she could do it, and you know what? She was right. Jessica is an amazing, amazing woman, and is slaying it left and right, and is actualizing our dream.
Dope.
Yeah.
So
It's so dope. Tell me why Lambertville? That's not where you're from, right?
Not at all. So, like, I bounced around a lot in life. A lot.
Listen, Corey and I know a lot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a military brat.
My parents were military, and she was in the military. So
Oh, yeah,
We get
exactly.
it.
Okay, totally. Yeah, I knew a lot of military brats out in Austin, too, and, like, they knew what the deal was.
Oh yeah,
being
Texas.
on the move
You
constantly.
know. Yeah, Texas.
Yeah, exactly.
Texas is
Like,
it.
and so, yeah, you know, I bounced around a lot. I started off in Anaheim, California, then in then in Laguna for a little bit, like about 3 years. This is back in the 90s when it was hippie as hell.
So that's where you were actually from, is California?
Cali boy.
Okay.
Or Cali person. I'm still getting used to my... but, you know, so no offense either, but, you know, that's an ongoing journey. But, yeah, originally Cali, and now, you know, when we ended up moving into the East Coast, it was just all over the place, family and everything like that. And then, of course, I ended up an addict and everything, so that's a lot of bouncing around. I lived a lot of shelterless life early on, so... You know, but like it wasn't really, it was never in like the countryside of New Jersey. Okay. So I never knew that existed up until the point where Jessica and I, we were together, and this was when we were still in kind of in our dreamer phase, and we knew we needed to like get back out on our own and do our own thing and everything like that, find our independence now together, you know, unified. And originally we were going to go out to Atlantic City. Mm-hmm. And like we found a nice little spot out there, a neighborhood we really liked, you know, like it was a cool spot. And then one of my chosen family reached out to me and was like, hey, our family just got a little spot over here in Lambertville. I know if you go all the way down in Atlantic City, I'm never going to see you again because I know the type of person you are. You're just going to be grinding all the time. So just come over here to Lambertville, chill, see what the area is like. Watch the spot for me for a little bit, and I was like, all right, discounted living for a few months? No.
I'll take it.
I'll take it. I don't care where it is. And then I'm driving out there, and all of a sudden there's like farms. And I'm like,
yo, when I was driving down there, I was like, where am I going?
Right?
I've been in Jersey for a long time, and I've seen a lot of Jersey. In some parts, I'm still always surprised.
Yeah, and I'm driving down there, and I'm like, oh, shit, there's horses and everything.
It's beautiful
down
though.
Here. It's gorgeous.
It's a very nice place.
Oh, it was so beautiful. And so, like, I finally get to Lambertville, and it's like this little, like, it's like a fairy tale village.
It is.
It's crazy. The architecture there is all, like, old, and everybody respects it. And, you know, it's right across the river from New Hope, and I always heard New Hope was, like, really interesting in, like, a witchy, cool vibe type way.
Yeah.
And so, you know, Lambertville, we got there and it was just like, this is crazy. How could I leave? How could I want anywhere else? And so we ended up there for about 8 years. You know, there were points where we thought like, hey, we're poor as hell. Should we be living in a town like this? And then we were like, you know, everywhere in New Jersey is expensive as all heck.
That's a fact.
You know, so we just found like the cheapest spot we could on Craigslist. And that kind of actually worked into like a medium where it was like this. I was paying the same amount I would have been paying in AC to live on the river too, which was crazy.
Isn't that terrible that we think that way about ourselves? Like, should I even live here? Like, I don't even have enough money, you know?
Oh, dude, totally.
So Lambertville, all right. So
it was the love, and then like, you know, just realizing where it was at, and like especially when like once we actually realized we could be in the running for like a dispensary and everything like that, it was like, well, and also it was just like the craziest spot we could do it. You know, I mean, we're right in like this like cultural hub. You know, we have so much going on, and like it was just like, and it was kind of like an island. There was nobody else that was like really turning around the ordinance in Hunterdon County that way. So it just kind of felt like we've got our own little slice here. Let's hang out here. Let's have this be our little haven.
Yeah.
And then from that, we started realizing like the issues with having it be too much of a haven with like the NIMBY type people and everything over there. Yeah. And that's like our biggest hurdle and the first one that we've been trying to address.
Yeah, we got that in Jersey City too.
Yep.
Luckily, hopefully, we've gotten around that for our location, but we've already seen a good amount of that in Jersey City as well.
It's unsustainable. People who try to do that sort of thing, they aren't thinking sustainably about like humanity and like the way we have to progress forward.
Yeah, well, it's you know, if it becomes a need of the people, you know, obviously it's medicinal, it's medicine,
Thank you.
You know, and all those things attached to it from that side. But then even on the recreational side, it's, hey, it's here already.
Yeah.
You might as well get over it and make it a safe and sustainable, like you said, way to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Instead of it being a shadows or people feeling, you know, pressure in that kind of way.
Yeah.
and like the good that it can do, like it's a huge boon to anybody, like,
Yes.
that you bring cannabis into, like, people are pretty backwards, especially NIMBY minded people, because it's like, you're not thinking of the fact that like cannabis, if you give it to the right people who've been negatively impacted by cannabis and you give them that actual opportunity, like you are ultimately lining your own pocket if you're one of those money-minded people. Because like, what do you do by starving out the very people that you're surrounded by? You don't have anybody buying your product.
Yeah.
Like, and you may as well like think like, if you have an expansive reality where you have like, you're feeding other people, they're going to feed you too. That's why like partaking in the social contract, that's a good thing. And people take it for granted, and then they think they can like knock out public transportation, and then it's like, how are you going to get by then?
Yeah.
We're hoping to do something similar too with our next door neighbor, Cliff, it being a coffee and a cafe. And it's like, well, that goes hand in hand with weed, so
Exactly.
hopefully we'll all help each other. In general, just build more economy to the area.
Yeah.
More than anything.
That's the point.
Such a great thing.
Yeah. I don't know why people don't see that. Yours isn't a firehouse. That is super dope, first off.
Thank you.
Yo, I always wanted to like own a firehouse. Like they're sort of like lofty.
They got they
It's
have loft like
gorgeous.
apartments and all that in firehouses.
Yes. Those are so dope.
Those are always dope.
And you own, right? OWN.
OWN.
A firehouse.
That ain't no rental.
You made into a dispensary. Tell me about that story. I know there's a story there because you had a spot.
Oh yeah.
He had a funny landlord situation. You know how when Rose was on, we was talking about the type of stuff they be doing.
Yeah.
He's a victim of that. But actually, let me not say victim, because you actually came out winning.
So we knew we were in that situation from a very, very early point on. Especially my partner Kevin and I were like always like, this guy's a little shady. This guy's pulling some shit on us. Like we just seen it coming. So like he reached out to us after he knew we were going in for the license with a couple of locals and everything. He was like, I got a spot you can set up, and I'll be part of the business just a little tiny bit. I just want a tiny bit. And I'll let you guys rent in my spot and turn it into the craziest dispensary. I don't even care if I lose my what is it?
Insurance or something?
The insurance. And so the title insurance, there we go. So he was like, I don't even care if I lose that, whatever. And I'm like, all right, that sounds really good. That sounds way too good. And so we're going through this process, and every turn, whenever we're negotiating, he's like, can I just get like 1% more? And I'm like, no, what? Like we're paying you rent. Like
we're past that part of the.
So you were giving him equity on top of paying him rent, or you had a certain number that you negotiated, but then he kept asking for more and more on top of the fact that you were also paying rent.
Exactly. So
no
we
deal
were
on
already
the rent?
we already had a blown up rent, and he was coming at it, continuing trying exactly, and he tried making that cannabis tax equity every step of the way.
This
and
exactly
we got
what
to
we talked about with Rose.
Exactly.
Yeah, every step of the way he's like, yo, let me get a piece. And so we start going through it, and we get to the point where we're submitting for the conditional, and Kevin and I, we just kind of look at each other and we're like, he's going to keep raising it. This is not going to be the property we go with eventually. And we look at each other and we're like, well, it's getting this local approval. I guess we deal with it for now.
Because you needed site control.
We needed site control for then. So we just we rolled through it for the site control, and we were like, all right. And so when we got to the end of it, we were like, okay, we now have a conditional license. It was a few months later, and we're like, okay, let's come back to the table with him. Now he's definitely going to want to just sign as soon as he can, because this is an actualized thing. Right. And we were now giving him a couple %. We were going to actually feed into that a little bit and give the dog a bone. And so
why were you doing that? Did you feel kind of because the site control part is hard? Did you feel sort of desperate, like you had to?
Partially, but then partially it was also he was giving us a lot of leeway with the property too.
Okay, fair.
And he was starting to get to the point where it made sense to me at that point. Okay. I was like, okay, you're gonna allow us to do XYZ. he had the property next door too. So I was like, okay, we can expand at some point there, and you're gonna make that easy for. Well, no, he wasn't, but you know, you're gonna make it seem like it's easy for us.
It was gonna come off.
Exactly. So we're like, all right, so he'll sign on this for sure. He sits down and he's like, I want 10% gross of your business.
What?
I'm like, dude, this is the cannabis business? Do you know what you're talking about?
So some of you don't understand. There's a very key word in that, and it's not actually the 10. Gross.
Gross.
It's that gross word. Gross instead of net. It's like, hold on. So you want 10% before I even think about profit.
Hold on, Cord. So we're talking about equity, rent, and gross profit.
That's wild.
Did he just want to name the dispensary his own name?
Yo, pretty much. He thought he had us like that, though. That's the thing, is he thought he had us to the degree where, like, because he didn't think we would be, gutsy enough to go through the local process again. So he's like, oh, they're done. They're not going to do this. So we had this moment where we were, like, falling apart because Kevin and Jessica and I, we had this conversation prior. And Jessica was on board too at this point. Like, we got to find an alternative spot. Just in case.
You need a plan B.
Like, we got to have a plan
crazy.
B.
Yeah.
So, like, for months we were looking and we couldn't find anything. And so, like, this was last August and we're like, we're done for. We got nothing. Like, what are we going to do? And, like, so Jessica and I are having, like, this huge panic attack because we got so much right on this. Prior to this, we had nothing. And, like,
Yeah.
Jessica has like an expensive med infusion every month, and like, so we need this opportunity.
Yeah.
And so we were like, what are we gonna do? And we looked online on Zillow, and like within 2 hours of him throwing that ultimatum at us, 8 Church Street, the property next door. Yes. That prior property was next door to our firehouse.
He's going to hate seeing you motherfuckers every day.
So, he already does.
How you doing? I'm just over here with my extra 10% and gross profit that you couldn't take, motherfucker.
Oh, and our site control because we own it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yo, you own the damn firehouse.
Yeah, so like it went on for
Cord,
sale.
I'm so proud of you. This is such a good play. Yo, Corey and I are good. We didn't make that happen.
That's hard. That shit was hard.
So like we had this moment where we're like, oh shit, this just went for sale right at the moment when we need it. Like, this is crazy. Like, this is so serendipitous. Let's go. So we jumped like that. Our investor was on board. He was hurting at the time, but he was like,
helped you buy the property?
He did.
Shout out to Kevin.
Yo,
Yeah,
Kevin?
and
Shout
Tom,
out to Kevin.
and Tom Rudy.
And Tom.
Yeah,
Kevin and Tom, making dreams come true.
Exactly.
We have a couple behind us too. Mm-hmm. Justin, Kiss. Who else we got? Anthony. We got, yeah.
Cheers.
Listen, you need
Lance, Eric.
You need people.
You got it.
You need support, but it doesn't need to cost you your business. And that's what these MSOs be doing when they come behind somebody and they try to do the little switcheroo with the license a few years later.
Man.
It's so funny. It's funny business always.
So
That's hard.
I'm proud of you.
Well done.
Thanks, you guys.
Yeah, very well done.
We took that opportunity, and within 2 weeks, we were closed. The guy who owned the building loved us. We got to like meet him and his partner, and like we just kind of serendipitously were walking by the place again, and like his partner happened to be walking out, and it was like the same day we put down the offer, and like we just like met, and we had like this little love sesh, and like they knew what we were about, but they weren't even going to green tax it because they knew the local story, and they were like, all right,
That's great. Wow, so they
That's
just
cool.
sold it to you at like market, like
Here you go.
that's great.
It is what it is.
Because they could
was
have
amazing.
definitely threw some on top.
No, they put that.
Oh,
put that tax
dude,
on it.
You
the
already
property
know.
next door just went for sale and just went up, and it was like, yeah, and I'm like, whoa, okay, that's crazy. And that was like super cool for us too, because like I'm like, I just went from like being like I got nothing to like, and like literally like we were about to get evicted from our apartment and everything before our conditional license went through and we got our funding and everything. It was crazy last minute. So it went from that to within 2 weeks owning property
Nothing is
and
something.
then having that
That's
property
cool.
value jump up. It was like,
When it rains, it pours.
Oh yeah, and when the sun shines, it is a bright blue sky. Whoa.
There you go.
Listen,
That was crazy.
that's phenomenal. So tell me about the landlord now, because y'all live there, right? Y'all
We're
live
friendly.
in the firehouse?
Yeah, we're friendly. I mean, I went by and like, I was like, no hard feelings, but like, and he thought I came back to the table like I was gonna negotiate. I was kind of shysty of me, but I like came back to like Jessica and I were like, all right, we're gonna like talk again about this, and then we sat down and we were like, that property that just went up for sale next door, we're going in there, and he was like, and I'm like,
that
all
was a good
right,
moment.
so like, let me just tell you. We're going to be good friends. Don't even worry about this. We'll be good neighbors, all right? And, like, you and your son, I know you want to make your son our store manager, whatever. You guys do your own thing. You guys got it.
Wow.
You guys got you.
That is,
So they're doing their own thing.
he
and
has
I'll
got to
be-
see you forever.
Yeah,
Wow.
but, and I'll be good to him, though, because he's he's a normal guy. It's just I imagine like he probably thought of it like any other business, and if you are thinking about it like that, you're
It's an
probably
opportunity.
thinking you're thinking it's an opportunity, and you're also thinking like you
I
probably
mean-
don't know what gross means in cannabis. If you're not actually in cannabis in New Jersey,
Right.
where you're like, oh, that is more than half my business. You don't
Yeah.
even know what
Yeah.
you just asked
That's
for.
you're
Yeah.
actually for half of the income of the company.
Yeah.
Because after the taxes and the fees and
Yeah.
everything,
Yep.
it's like no, all things need to be talked about at net,
Yep.
right? Like
At net for sure.
Yep.
yeah.
It's astronomical when you talk gross. It's crazy. I mean, people don't know the taxes we go through. They think we're just like balling or something.
Yeah. Yeah. No, they
Yeah,
definitely.
it's wild. Yeah, it's a lot of you see a lot of money go out.
Yeah, but like the little bits that go to like my municipality, I'm happy about because like they actually need it and they're hurting. But like,
Yeah.
we got to see what happens to the rest. Like, we got to know what happens to more than 2% of the social equity excise tax fee.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we got to know what's
Where does that
happening
money
there.
really go?
Right.
Yeah, what's slushing around?
Yes. Yes. Yo, I love this story. I just feel like I can't wait to go and visit you because I just want to wave at the neighbor. I'm so petty. Hey, guys.
Hey neighbor,
I just want to say, oh my God, I know he is so mad forever. He's going to see the line around the block.
Nah,
Oh.
I'm gonna fight the line so hard. I got my whole plan wrapped around trying to make Lambertville. Like, Lambertville's a cute town.
It is
I love
cute.
that town. I have so much fun there. There's so many amazing artists coming to town all of a sudden.
Yes.
With like New Hope kind of getting like more suit and everything like that. Lambertville's getting more loose and just like chilling like a villain. And so people are going to enjoy Lambertville. So my whole thing is like, whenever people are in line, I'm going to tell them to check out their app. I'm going to create a little walk map. I'm going to have all the local businesses I'm partnered up with on it.
I love it.
I'm going to tell them where to go. Go check out that little spot. Get a little tchotchke or a little food. Come back over with a receipt. You get yourself a locals discount.
there you go.
I love it.
And make sure that you're supporting other local businesses. Don't stay in line.
Yeah.
If you're standing in line, you are not enjoying my town.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
That's
Yeah. I'll buzz you.
That's dope.
That's
Oh,
super
that's
dope.
cool.
Yeah.
Listen, man, I'm excited for your dispensary. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you guys.
Appreciate it, Alyza. Thank you.
Listen, Corey, you don't know Jack. You ready?
Do I have a choice?
Never.
Do I partake in this too?
Sure.
Sometimes, if you
Sure.
think,
Feel
yeah, if
free
you feel
to
like-
save me if I don't know the answer.
We'll see if I can save you.
Jalen, did you send me stuff? Discord.
Jalen be making us use apps. Yeah. He can't just text it because that'd be too. He's like, go in the Discord.
This is for Corey? Are you
I-
sure? It's talking about the financial industry. That's not what Corey does.
I don't. I've been in legal cannabis for 5 years.
Don't you love how Corey's always like legal?
Listen, you gotta understand.
wanna
Listen, because
Reinforce what it is.
you have the legacy market, you have the MSO side.
Yeah.
I just have happened to work in both.
All right. I mean, I got one here.
Well, that's enough.
You're not getting out that easy. 2 minimum. Flavonoids. What are they?
Flavonoids. That's just flavor. Yeah,
Weren't you weren't a grower, right?
Everyone was a grower.
Well, no, some people are like really, really into it.
Yeah.
But do you know about that stuff? You could.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. It's look, this is our Triforce nowadays, and like flavonoids are coming next. You know, everybody knows our cannabinoids, our terpenes.
Yeah.
And
Yo, he got the whole game in his pocket, and he just like sat up quickly, like, well, if you really want to know, if you really want to know the chemistry behind this,
he knows more about it than me. That's not.
Yo, let it off, though. Corey, see, you don't know Jack. Well, I knew one day you wasn't gonna know shit.
You got me good this time.
I don't actually know enough about flavonoids to really like speak too much on it. My wife is a little bit more into the detail game on that front. Although I'm very into like the craft, so I try to mess around with whatever's out next. So yeah, that's like, it's part of the equation. It's also something that goes into the different feel that you're getting off of it, as well as the flavor. So it's all incorporated into that
Entourage effect.
Yeah, exactly.
Which they don't want you to believe in.
It's real.
The entourage effect is a real thing.
Oh yeah,
it is a real thing.
I mean, look, they don't want you to believe in that because there's a couple of industries right now that are there just because of the fact that like people. Anyway,
bioterps.
Yes.
Like CBD, you got to have THC.
Yeah.
And honestly, if you do really understand what that is, and you're connecting the type of terps that are going to support whatever strain you have, and everything, it is really going to give you an incredible effect. People, they're not deep like that though.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, there's also a lot of people that don't know like the terps that they're ingesting and the way, or like the flavonoids and everything, because like a lot of people don't even have living weed. Right. And that's something that's like crazy to me. Is a lot of people are like smoking stuff that's like people water cure it for like 10, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And
it's like, yo, when you dip a plant like that, how much of it are you just drowning? Like, that's how we get live rosin. Like, you are stripping it. Like, and I hope that people are doing that with it when they do that, because I have no idea why somebody would cure that way.
Yeah.
But then it comes out that way, it's dead, and people are smoking, like, lawn clippings. And, like, they don't know what terpenes are at that point. Like, there's no terpenes in that.
Done.
You're just inhaling leaf matter at that point.
Yeah, exactly. You know, if you don't get that tickle in the back of your nose.
If you don't cough... If you're on pool number 3 and you ain't not
Says
cough,
the cough master over there.
I'm big cough. Pause. But like, if you don't cough, something ain't right.
Truth.
Like, if like right now my nose is tingling. I got like the whole terpene thing going on in my nose right now. It's crazy. But yeah, you smoking garbage.
This is good too.
Shame
I like
on
the Boston runs. All right. Best places in the tri-state area to smoke. I guess maybe they mean like spots for you to go
Smoking spots,
yeah.
Anywhere where there's water.
Yeah.
Yo, I love a good L by the water. Baked by the river.
Baked by the river. I love to get baked by the river.
Yes.
But like, yeah,
so
like for North Jersey, I would say Liberty State Park, like that kind of area.
Yeah.
Looking on the water.
Yeah, for sure.
The beach, so you took Jersey Shore, Cape May, Atlantic City, all that.
Yeah.
Just like when there's like rolling waves and you get to burn it down, that's just dope, right? Like that's better.
Sandy Hook.
Sandy Hook, yeah.
Oh, better believe it. Be free.
Yeah.
Let it out.
And then the last for Central Jersey, I would probably, the one I got is, what is that? Washington Park? What is that town called? It's over there across from Greenbrook. Mount like Washington Lookout, Mount Lookout or something like that. It's like this weird little cliff, and you can see basically all the way to the city from there. And this is all the way down in like Greenbrook. That is a dope spot to just chill, look at the sunset. Well, not sunset, but the sky move and go across while you're smoking.
Yeah.
Burn it down. So yeah, that's all I got.
Okay.
I know where you're talking about. I'm mad. I don't remember.
I gotta remember what that thing is called.
Yeah.
Washington Rock.
Okay, there we go.
Thank you, Jalen, our producer. He'd be right on it.
There's a dope spot in Weehawken. It's like on a sort of cliff area at the top, and you can see all of New York. It looks beautiful. The view from Jersey is always better than the view from New York.
Sure.
Well, yeah.
Nobody wants to look at us. Like, hey, New York. Looks good on this side.
Well, Jersey City keep building like they are, and the view gonna be better from that
You're
side.
right, actually.
Really, downtown Jersey City is a whole skyline.
Yes, you're right.
It
has
still,
transformed.
Yeah, it is.
Well, listen, man, I appreciate you coming. This was great to learn your story. I'm so proud of you. Your story is incredible.
That's dope.
Thank you.
You did it the right way, man.
And the longevity.
Yes.
I appreciate it. And I guess
We wish
while
you
I'm
much
here, I
success.
do want to plug one last thing.
Absolutely.
What's up? Go ahead.
I just want to throw out there, my wife and I, when we got into the game, we realized we wanted to hire all of our local pot dealers first, people who've been impacted by the war on drugs, people who've been fucked over by the system before.
Yep.
And we went to Google, and fortunately we could not find that. People's idea, like you can't just Google like who in my area has been popped recently for selling pot. It's
it's not that simple. Yeah.
Thankfully,
Right.
but like we decided we wanted to find a way to make that a thing. She had connections in the Office of Public Defender. I had a lot of history working with like video game companies and stuff like that randomly in Austin, and so we decided to create a database all for people who've either been arrested for cannabis in the past or people who are from high impact zones. It's called Cannabis Equity Employment, and it's a place for people, who've been impacted by this plant to now get prioritized in the hiring process. Originally, we were just going to do this to make it like a segue for us from the legacy to like find a place within the legal industry because like that's going to need to happen for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
And so, at first it was that, but then the state came through and decided that was going to be a prioritization. Recently, Cureleaf went through all of its stuff because they let go of a few people that were within that social equity standard.
See, those lawyers got it back in 4 days.
I know. I'm so disappointed. But like, social equity, it's getting thrown around as like a buzzword and everything like that, but it's important to actually uphold these promises, regardless of what words you put in front of it. So, cannabisequityemployment.com. We're undergoing some big maintenance to try to fill out the data that is needed for systems such as the reporting system that's coming through now for hiring. So please, if you need an opportunity within the cannabis industry and have been negatively impacted, go to cannabisequityemployment.com. We're trying to make sure that you are the first people that are getting seen and taken care of. If we give these jobs all like pharmacists and stuff like that, people who are already making bread and putting it on the table for their family, already paying taxes, already going to retire, then you're not really making much of a difference. But if you give it to people like me who like on their bad years of selling pot are only making like $15,000 a year sometimes, and you give them an opportunity to take that bread back home, start a family, take care of their community, take care of everything around them, that will be actual growth. And the people who are saying that that's like some, rising tide type stuff, trust me, that's going to pick you up too, because guess what? Then they'll be able to pick up at your store and take care of you. So this is the way to take care of us all.
Yeah. Yeah, that's dope.
Very dope.
Thanks.
Yeah. Yo, doing the work, man. Right? That's what's necessary.
We appreciate you coming. It was a good drive. I know that. And the smoke and hang out with us.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
He said we're supposed to plug the last episode. He adds rules every episode.
Out of nowhere. Like, fam.
I haven't even said
been
like, comment,
together all
subscribe
day.
yet.
Been together all day. How about, like, subscribe, hit the bell and shit.
And then, so I guess go watch the last episode too. That's what I'm supposed to say. Yeah.
And hit the like and subscribe. I said it again.
If he adds one more fucking rule,
I'll fight you. Man.
I can't. All right.
And we still don't have no outro.
One day we'll
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba, bing bong.
We out.
Yo, we out.